It's Super T Sigma. Welcome back to the Super T Sigma channel. Super T Sigma in the car, not even in the building, but in the car. There's never, this is what I want to say. There's never just one definition to something. Ever. There's always a right-hand meaning and a left-hand meaning. Or if you want to go left to right, there's always a left-hand meaning and a right-hand meaning. Take the Nimrod story, for instance. You always hear the left-handed version of it, which is Nimrod building a tower of Babel that reaches up to God. Wanted to build a tower that reaches into heaven with bricks and slime from the tar pits, and gathering the people together to do this, and Nimrod being a mighty hunter of souls. This is all the left hand meaning, talking about the apostasy. But check out the right hand meaning. If you're under an oppressive system, if it's an oppressive theocratic system, then you can point out a discrepancy that stretches all the way into the New Testament. When you add all this up, there's a scripture that says, we serve the God of order. Our God is not the God of confusion. However, the God who is proclaimed not to be the God of confusion, when he saw the people all speaking the same language and building this tower, he said, let us go down there and confuse them. He's not the author of confusion, though. But he sure is when it came to the subject of Nimrod. He said, oh, no, let us go down there and confuse their languages so that they leave off building the Tower of Babel. There's a few ways to look at this Tower of Babel. And if you're smart, these days you really would be trying to build one, so to speak. Not literally, but spiritually. All it's saying is, I'm going to get to God my own way. I'm not going to allow a theocracy to do it. I'm not going to allow the old timers to do it. I'm not going to allow the new timers to do it. I'm going to find God on my own. I'm going to reach the higher power on my own. I deserve it as an individual soul. I have the right to seek God on my terms. He made me unique. So in my uniqueness, this gives me the right to follow and build something to reach God in my uniqueness without any confusion. And look at this. It doesn't look right, because we're talking about confusion being orchestrated by God. Now you can say what you want about Nimrod's motives in building the tower. Yeah, you can say what you want about it. But what you can't deny is the fact that there's a scripture where God is functioning as an author of confusion, even though the same scriptures say that he's not the author of confusion. But right here in the subject of Nimrod, he is authorizing confusion. Does it matter what the motive is? No, everybody was on the same page. Everybody spoke the same language. Imagine what kind of world it would be if everybody spoke the same language. Imagine how many wars would never happen if everybody spoke the same language. Imagine how even and balanced the monetary scale would be if everybody spoke the same language. Imagine what equality will really look like if everybody spoke the same language. See, you got to think about these things. If everybody spoke the same language, it'd be a whole different game out here. Nimrod, spelled backwards on a homonym level, is dormant. Or you could say dormant. So he wanted to lay that plan dormant, that plan to build the tower. And who else was God talking to when he said, let's go down there and confuse? If it's just one God, right? One singular person, he doesn't have to say let's. He could just do it himself. I'm going to go down there and do this. But you get all of this let's talk, letting you know that God is not a person as much as he is a team, as much as God is really a government. That's why you get this, let us make man, let there be light. I'm hiding my plans from Abraham. Should I tell? You got all of this questioning going on. But God is not talking to himself. That Yahweh is not talking to himself. So right there on the right hand meaning of the Nimrod story, you have really an oppressive theocracy that's not allowing people to get on the same page and do what they think is right. Although later in the New Testament, Paul says, decide for yourselves which is right. Well, back in the time of Nineveh, you had people deciding what was right. And what was the result of them deciding what was right for them? God went down there and confused them so that their project was left off. How many towers are you trying to build and not knowing where the confusion is coming from? And you're thinking it's coming from some kind of demon. It might be coming from Jehovah. It might be coming from the Yahweh, who may not want you to ascend to a certain height without the reliance and dependency of the theocratic system. Might be funneling you under Moses, because it was Shem who finally killed Nimrod. And they called it apostasy, what Nimrod's move was. But you have other studies that talk about this was supposed to be a gateway to heaven, that he was going to achieve it based on primordial sciences that predate religion itself. So this was the issue on the right hand path. On the left hand path, meaning you don't get anything but Nimrod and the Tower of Babel being images of rebellion. But on the right hand path, you're getting images of revolution and resolve.